Welcome to There She Is, the podcast by Women's Sport and Recreation Tasmania. This is a space for celebrating women in sport, the athletes, coaches, administrators, volunteers, and leaders who shape our sporting communities. We talk pathways, visibility, lived experience, and what works for women in sport right here in Tasmania and beyond, because representation matters and every story deserves to be seen. Hey everybody, it's Philippa here from Women's Sport and Recreation Tasmania, and I'm really excited to introduce you to Ella Marshall, who is an incredible athlete from Tasmania. She's a rower and recently been categorised as a para-athlete and had an incredibly accelerated journey that's kept her incredibly busy. We're so grateful to have you on today and to share more of your journey. So how are you today and where are you?
Thank you, Philippa. It's great to be here. I'm currently at the AIS. We just finished a S&C session. So we've finished our training for the day. We hit the water this morning back in the PR3 mixed double, actually, which was amazing. And we've all had a little bit of a break at home. So it's been quite nice to be back.
Yeah, you just popped down last week, right? And then you're back in Canberra again.
Yes, yeah. So we were allowed to go home for a few days before we head overseas, which is nice just to reconnect with family and everyone before we head away.
So cool. And where are you heading off to?
So first of all, we will be heading to Varese in Italy to the ETC, so the AIS ETC. And then for the third World Cup, we will be heading to Lucerne in Switzerland.
Wow, how exciting. Have you travelled to these places before?
I have been to Italy, but I have not been to Switzerland. So I've heard that Lucerne is absolutely lovely. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm very excited for you. But let's go back to the beginning because you have been involved in rowing for a long time and competed as an able-bodied athlete. So tell us about your journey growing up. When did you get involved in rowing and maybe other sports you've been involved in too?
Yeah, definitely. I originally got involved in rowing when I was in grade 6. So both my parents row and they just row at a state level and they still row in the Masters. But yeah, I got involved in grade 6. My dad was my first coach. It was me and a bunch of schoolmates and I absolutely loved it. I tried a heap of sports growing up. When I was 4, I was diagnosed with a aggressive brain tumor, childhood brain tumor, which is just a form of childhood cancer. So it did affect my brain development and especially the young age, those formative years. My parents did definitely put me in the direction of sport and trying every single sport possible to build on that fine motor and that gross motor control, which I'm so thankful for now. It has definitely put me in a better position. Yeah, so I started out just as an able-bodied rower in grade 6, went all the way through till last year as an able-bodied rower and then, found the calling for para-rowing and now we're here.
Oh, so how old are you now? How old were you when you could enter in para?
So I am 25, 26 this year. So last year in July, we actually reached out to the TIS and the TIS para unit. So that's led up by Kirsty Turner. We just put in a few feelers that maybe this might be something that I am eligible for. And Kirsty was amazing. She was able to get in contact with the right people and really support me down the path of classification because it can be quite daunting in any sport for para classification. And there's quite a process to it as well. So having the right people around you that can support you, that know how classification works is really great.
Amazing. So you've actually competed, from I don't know, is that like 12 years old up to 25 years old, able-bodied athlete? Did it ever cross your mind that it might be something or you were just happy in those categories?
About when I was 16, we did raise, I guess, some, not alarm bells isn't the right term, but some questions about whether it would be something that I was eligible for. And at the time, there just really wasn't the right support and structural systems, especially down in Tasmania, to kind of investigate that further. All classification opportunities at that time were on the mainland and they still are on the mainland, but with those para units now in each state, it's definitely a lot more of a streamlined process, and there's so many people to support you. So at that time it was questioned. I was actually put into a para race at just one regatta down in Tasmania, loved it, and kind of never really then questioned it again. It's kind of something that was almost put in the too hard basket because of the fact that there wasn't the right supports around. And then, continued on with my able-bodied rowing. I dabbled quite a lot in the lightweight rowing scene for the last 4 seasons. So I did last season, I was a lightweight rower, and then I've entered into the para space.
So cool. And Kirsty is amazing. I've met her as well
Yes.
before, and there is such an easy pathway for anyone who does have questions, and whether you are or aren't. Can you tell us a bit more, like, what was the testing or categorizing process like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we first filled out these provisional classification forms. So I had to go see a physio. I could do that in my home state, which was amazing. I could do that with my local physio. And basically they tested just some angles on your body, some range of movements. It was really quite easy. And we sent those into Rowing Australia, and from there, Rowing Australia could kind of give you a little bit of an indication whether it wasn't worth moving forward or whether it was. And in my case, they were quite keen to move forward. I was then invited to Rowing Australia's para development camp, which was run alongside a classification opportunity, which was amazing. It was the first year that was ever done. And Christine McLaren and James Loveday, they did an amazing job in setting that up, because it did mean that it was another classification opportunity for people. They didn't have to wait till nationals, which is the end of our season. So the fact that it was really kind of at the start of our domestic season was amazing. It meant that I was able to row at home in the para categories. So that was an awesome opportunity. And for that, I'm so grateful for Christine and James for inviting me to that. It was also great because we got to connect with other para rowers as well. So our classification involved basically another physical screening run alongside a race. So the classifiers do all of what you did at home with your physio. They do it a little bit more in depth. They get you on an ergo as well, and they observe, your impairment in play. So all in all, that took about like an hour to do. There's 3 classifiers. They're absolutely lovely. Everyone is so supportive, and they understand how daunting it can be as well, and the fact that you may feel a little bit alone, but you are never alone on all of these steps. And then the next day, we had our classification race. So it's where we got in our boat, we did our thing, we raced for 2Ks, and they were able to observe and watch and make sure that we were in the right category. So it's more just to make sure that, we have put you in the right category. We're confident. We can see your impairment basically coming out, or we think maybe you can slot into PR2. In my case, I slotted perfectly into PR3.
Awesome. So PR3 is your category? And what does that, do you mind sharing what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So PR3, we have still got use of our trunk, our arms, our legs, but it's almost like PR3 is a scale. You can have a severity and a lesser impairment on that scale. Ideally, everyone sits in between those scales for PR3. For me, my right side of my body is affected. So I was left with almost stroke-like symptoms on my right side that affects all my limbs, my right side of my face, my feeling, my sensation. Definitely my balance and my coordination is not amazing, but we're working on that in the gym as hard as we can.
Awesome. And so this has gone super fast. Was it July last year?
Yes.
What were you doing before this? Because you're full-time in the program now, right?
Yes. Yeah, I am. So I've been out teaching for 2.5 years. So I taught at a local primary school up on the northwest coast. Absolutely loved it. Always wanted to be a teacher, my dream career. So I have unfortunately left that a little bit behind, because it's not maintainable to be doing this and teaching at the same time. So that really took up most of my time. I was teaching, and then straight after teaching, I would go train on the Mersey River, and I try to get in some early morning sessions as well.
So what's the transition like been for you going from teacher to full-time athlete? Has it been a lot or has it just been an exciting whirlwind?
It's definitely challenging. I would say that probably like for the last 2.5 years, and definitely also throughout uni, like teaching almost was a little bit of my identity. Rowing was something that I was really passionate about. I loved it. I lived and breathed it, but it was also still a little bit on the side, and teaching was just a little bit above it. So now to pretty much have that flipped has been quite a whirlwind. I do miss teaching, but I also am so happy to be here. This is really a dream. So it has been challenging. I guess probably not keeping your brain as active with
Right.
the whole classroom and the teaching environment. But my brain has definitely been activated in different ways here.
I can imagine. So tell us what a day in the life of an athlete in the TIS looks like, or maybe a week. I assume it varies a little.
Yeah, absolutely. So here at Rowing Australia, we are at training by about 6:30 in the morning. We have our breakfast. We do our activation. So it's really important that us as para athletes, normal athletes as well, able-bodied athletes, sorry, as well, but definitely para athletes to mobilize to get our bodies ready for the rowing stroke. So we spend about 15 to 20 minutes every morning doing that before we get on the water. We have our briefing. We get on the water by about 7:30. It depends what our session looks like. It could be an hour and a half on the water. It could be just a tech session of about an hour. We come in, we debrief. Sometimes when our coaches have actually filmed us rowing, we debrief that video, which is really great to kind of just actually look what you are doing from outside the boat. It's really important to also have that video input as well. We have pretty much our second breakfast. We refuel from that training session, but also fuel up for our next session, which it varies on the day, can be an ergo, can be a cross-training session or a strength and conditioning session like it was today, which is about an hour and a half in the gym at the AIS. And then we come back, we have lunch, we fuel up again, and usually ready for our cross-training session in the afternoon.
Epic.
Yes.
And so is there anything you do in your downtime to help you relax or stimulating your brain in different ways? What do you do outside of it now?
I've actually recently picked up a job within the AIS at the childcare, which is really exciting just to be back in, I guess, the field a little bit, a bit of a different discipline to teaching, working with a lot younger kids, but it's nice to kind of reconnect a little bit with the young ones. But I have actually started taking up cross-stitching and embroidery as just another kind of hobby to tick away at. I think that is really important to, as much as I guess rowing is my identity at the moment, it's the same with any elite athlete person, is that sport does consume you and does become your identity. It is really important to have those hobbies, and if it's work or if it's uni, as that kind of reprieve and that break and that step away.
Yeah. Oh, you sound very level-headed, and I can see the joy in your body with being part of what you're doing. What's been the most challenging part sometimes? Because I guess sport can be pretty uncertain and ups and downs. What's been the most challenging part so far?
I think the challenging part is the environment takes a lot to get used to as well. Just like the high performance being on every day. Also not being too hard on yourself, which is something that I've had to really work on, and I'm still working on it, is that not every session is going to be your absolute best. And I think it's walking away from those not so good sessions and going, right, it's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. I'll come back. I'll try again. And if I don't get it tomorrow, that's fine. I'll reassess and I'll try again. I think it's not being too hard on yourself and not letting it consume you and eat you, because I think it is very easy for that to happen, and it's just a downward spiral from there.
Yeah, it's a really good mindset to take. And maybe some people experience that even not at the elite level, feeling they have to be 100% every single
Absolutely.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that, other young girls maybe coming through sport who might be navigating classification or umming and ahhing, what do you think they need to know?
I think it's definitely to just reach out for any help, any support. I think I probably definitely could have reached out much earlier than I did. Thankfully, the para units came in at the right time for me, but I think definitely we've got the right supports now in each state, not just Tasmania. We've got the right supports, we've got the right people, and even if the person you are talking to is not the right person, especially at the TIS, they will hunt and they will find those answers for you. They will ask the questions, they will get that knowledge and the answers to your questions for you. You definitely reach out for support because I think you don't have to go through it alone. And it's definitely not intended for you to go through alone either. So, yeah, there's people with so much knowledge out there and just reaching out.
Have you connected with many other female para athletes recently and found some camaraderie or mentorship with them?
Absolutely. So I am actually our PR3 squad up here. We have 2 other female PR3 rowers and 1 female cox as well. So there's 4 of us now. So it's really quite great because we are based in Canberra at Rowing Australia. So we row out of the men's shed. It's not just the men's shed anymore. It's the men's and the PR3 shed. But so we are surrounded by a lot of men. So it is nice to kind of have a few other PR3 female rowers around as well. And that's really important just to have that support, to have those people that are going through not exactly the same thing as you, but are turning up, showing up to training every day. That you can kind of lean on a little bit and they can lean on you.
That's beautiful. It's so nice to have a little team growing.
Yes, it is.
What is it that you wish more people knew or more, different sports organizations as a whole knew about para athletes and keeping them involved in sport?
I think it's to never underestimate how daunting that it can be. For me, my PR3 classification, looking back at it now, was very clear that I was going to be classified as PR, but I stressed a lot about it, that I was doing this for nothing. I wasn't going to get classified. And thankfully, I had the right people around me that knew that I was very stressed about it. But I think it is definitely important for organisations and for classifiers to realise that people do worry about this stuff, do worry about the fact that they're not getting classified or it might not be the classification that they are expecting. I think it's also to give us time, to have grace with us. This is all new for us, and classification is usually the first opportunity. If people are getting classified, it's usually their first time. There's not many people that have gone through it again and again. So it is a first time experience for most of us, and it can be very, very daunting. And I think it's really important that classification is explained to people and the steps along the way is explained to people because, there's a lot of moving parts involved in classification. And I guess I'm only speaking on the rowing classification side, but I do know that the classifications in other sports can be there's a lot of parts to it and a lot of elements. And I think it's just giving the athletes grace, giving the athletes time, answering questions that they may have, because no question about classification is a silly question.
Yeah. Were you supported by local coaches through that process, or do you wish you had more support on the other end, or is it kind of over to TIS in your instance for what sort of happened next?
So my coach at the time was actually my dad. So I guess I'm really grateful in that element that my dad knows me. He knows me when I'm getting stressed. So I think that was probably a really special and unique thing that I had personally. As I said, the para units were really only just months old when I first kind of started to join. So I think everyone was really keen. Everyone was really excited. And the support that I got from Kirsty Turner and from Nadia, who's the head of rowing at TIS, was amazing. And the support that then I got from RA in Christine, in James, was amazing. I am so grateful for the support that I got through my process. And I do not think that I could have got any more support than I did.
That's amazing. I love it. So what are you working on? You talked about traveling. What are these kind of long-term goals that you're working towards at the moment?
Well, I guess taking one step at a time, in about a month's time, myself and my PR3 doubles partner, Sam Stunnell, will be lining up at the start line for World Cup 3 in Lucerne, which will be so exciting. A bit of nerves from me, but very exciting. So I think our first goal is to definitely put out a solid performance in that. With my international classification will run alongside that as well. So there will be a lot of moving parts in that regatta for me. Sam is already classified, so it would just be me from the double that's going for international classification. If hoping that international classification goes through and all right, keeping positive, it should. Then hopefully be off to Amsterdam for the World Championships, which will be exciting, which we would again hope to put a solid performance down from there.
So exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, I wish you guys all the best of luck for that. It's
Thank you.
yeah, great to see everything coming together. So what makes you most hopeful for the future for women and girls, especially para athletes being involved in sport?
Women in sport is a really exciting space to be in at the moment. And I think especially with 2032 coming up, obviously LA as well, but 2032 being a home Olympics and Paralympics, it's an extremely exciting time for any athlete in the sport, let alone females in sport. For a home Olympics and Paralympics, and to have as many female athletes on that stage would be amazing. And to definitely get that equal ratio on the Australian team would be amazing as well.
Yeah, that's super exciting. And some teams are getting close to that now.
Yes.
So Australia is going to pull it through too, I'm sure.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You are such an inspiration, and it's just so exciting to watch you grow in such a short amount of time. Good luck with your travel and everything that's coming up next. Make sure, are you on Instagram, or can we follow your journey anywhere?
I am on Instagram. I will be posting a lot on there, especially for friends and family. So I will be keeping that quite up to date.
Very exciting. Well, all the best for your training and these comps coming up. You're doing Tasmania proud, and yeah, the super exciting times.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
If this episode resonated with you, if you believe in visibility, representation and strong pathways for women in sport, we invite you to join us. Women's Sport and Recreation Tasmania is a growing community of state sporting bodies, clubs, women and allies working together to make sport more inclusive, connected and supportive across our state. By becoming a WSRT member, you're helping amplify women's voices, stories and leadership, both on the field and behind the scenes. Head to wsrt.org.au/membership to learn more about becoming a member. Because when we can see women in sport, we can be them.